Honey, I'm home. Hi, I'm Sangeeta and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be making these unbelievably flaky, buttery, fluffy and melt in your mouth garlic knots. But before we get started, if you're new to this channel, do not forget to like, subscribe and hit that bell icon. Let's get started. In a large mixing bowl, drop in 2 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Make a well in the middle using a ladle and drop in 1/8 teaspoon of instant yeast along with 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Now pour in some warm milk into the well. Mix it in slowly and gradually combine the yeast with the flour. Make sure that the milk is warm and not hot. You only want to activate the yeast and not kill it. Now drop in a teaspoon of salt. Add milk gradually into the flour and mix it in well. I've used 1/4 cup of milk in total. You might require a little more or less depending on the flour you are using. So do not pour all of the milk at once. Once it does not look sticky, use your hand and knead the dough. Add a tablespoon of oil and knead until smooth. Brush the bottom and top of the dough with some oil to prevent it from drying out or getting sticky. Cover it and allow it to proof in a dry, dark place for an hour. After an hour, you can see that the dough has doubled in size. Keep it aside. Drop in 2 tablespoons of garlic powder followed by 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. Give this a good mix. Now let's roll out our dough. Apply some oil on the surface and place half of the dough on it. Punch down your dough and roll it to 1/2 inch thickness. Sprinkle the garlic powder generously and cut the dough into an inch thickness. Make sure to dust the bottom of the dough with some garlic powder as well. Make a knot like so. Wrap these around your fingers and give it a tug. These would give me some nice big garlic knots. If you're a bread lover like me, I have a few foolproof and much loved bread recipes on my channel. I shall have the playlist linked above. Dust a baking tray with some garlic powder we had made earlier and dust off the excess. This is to avoid the dough sticking onto the tray during the second round of proofing. Place the knots leaving enough gap between each of them. It's important to leave enough space for them to double in size. Keep this covered in a dry, dark place to proof for another 30 to 45 minutes. Let's work on the other half of the dough now. Flatten it and then roll it out evenly. Sprinkle with some garlic powder and slice it to an inch thickness. This time I have decided to make smaller knots, so I have cut the dough in the middle. Stretch the dough a little and then wrap it in between your fingers and pull it out. Once done, place this on a dusted tray to proof for 30 minutes or until doubled in size. It's been half an hour since proofing and my knots have doubled in size as you can see. It took me only 30 minutes because the weather is hot and humid over here. It might take you a little longer though. Brush the top of the knots gently with some oil or melted butter. And then bake it in the oven at 140 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. Brush the knots generously with some salted butter and pop it into the oven for another 5 minutes. Our knots are out of the oven and has turned a beautiful golden brown. We are now going to place the smaller knots in the oven at 140 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. These bake faster. Slather with some butter and pop it in the oven for another 5 minutes. While that's baking, let me show you how beautifully our bigger knots have baked. It's soft and flaky on the top and has a firm bottom. Our smaller knots are out of the oven. Let's chop up some fresh garlic now to make the butter garlic sauce. Make sure that they are finely chopped. Now in a heavy bottom pan, drop in 50 grams of salted butter along with chopped garlic. If you're planning to use unsalted butter, please make sure to add half a teaspoon of salt. Stir this on low flame until the raw smell of the garlic disappears. Make sure not to burn your butter. Now add a tablespoon of dried parsley, or if you can find fresh parsley, use that. Stir this for 30 seconds and you're done. While the butter is still hot, pour it over your knots. Give this a toss or move it around with your fingers to coat the knots evenly. Once done, keep it aside and coat your second batch. Drizzle the leftover butter on the garlic knots and they are ready to be served. Eat it just like that or dip it in some garlic paste. These are addictive, soft and delicious. Serve them as starters and your guests are going to love it. These drenched goodies are pillowy soft. I hope you get to try them soon. Until next time.